Hey everybody, this is Justin with Sinar Technologies, and today we're going to talk about what an MVP is and the value it brings to your business. If you're on Facebook, please follow my page if you like this kind of content. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to this video as I'll be making more content like this in the future. And you may be interested in having your app developed for your business later on. So let's get started. So what is an MVP, right? It's a minimum viable product. The idea behind it is to keep costs down and test out if it's worth pursuing a product. Almost every company does this themselves before they even do it. Some companies even like for like apps, because I mean it costs a lot of money to maintain an app in the store. I mean for a company that's like trying to sell their product, like I have a Pump Pal fitness app, it's expensive for like the most expensive part is actually advertising. Like the server costs right now are like $100 a month. It's not even that bad. But getting people into the app is very expensive. So that's something they have to test out, right? So they use the MVP, they get it in the store, and they get people using it as quickly as possible to see if it's something they like, right? What I did in my stages of building my app, that I personally still have in the App Store and still building up, the first version of it was just there wasn't a login system. It was just pretty much they hit the button, it loaded up, and you could track your workouts. That was the first version. It was in the store. That's an MVP, right? The concept, boom, 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 get it in there. Good enough. One feature they can track their workouts. Then I built the login systems, and then I built in their body measurements. Then I built in their progress photos. I got to submit feedback in right away because it's something I can do quickly. Um, but you get the drift. It was each phase. I'm doing something else, and I'm doing more and more. Am I getting people to use it? Yes or no? Um, and then you move on. So the idea behind a minimal viable product is you're going to get the bare minimum. For most like places, you're probably going to want login to track the users. If it's like a retail store, you're probably going to sell something, or maybe you just want like exclusive deals that go in the app to get them using the app. You have to figure out what you want, and I say don't go more than 2 to 4 things because I mean it's going to take time to do the login systems, get the backend server because you're going to have that from the start. But just figure out those 2 to 4 things you want. And the idea is you get it in the store. And then we can test it, right? So if you're a retail shop, you can start telling the customers about it, get them to use the app. Generally, I say you'd want to make it an exclusive thing, right? So let's say you got 600 customers, or 1,000 customers, especially if you're like a coffee shop where it's high volume, or if you're a retail store, you have high volume. You may have a lot of users that'll use it right away. But generally, I would say you make an exclusive thing, you tell people about it, and only like 200 at first, right? So you get 200 people inside there using it. That way we can monitor how well it's doing. Are you getting more sales from these people? Um, on my end, on the tech side, we can monitor the servers, see what the cost it's going to take to run those 200. Then we have that ballpark average of about how much everything's going to take just for it to function, right? And then you have a number, right? And then you have that number, and then we know if we add another 200, you're then going to have additional cost. And a lot of times it's very incremental. It doesn't go much. My app personally, I'm only spending about 100 to 150 a month. Um, but for my app, it's a little harder to get customers because I don't have a customer base, so I have to do a lot of advertising. So that's my cost, right? Um, but if you're a shop, you already have your customers, you're gonna bring them in. So make it like an exclusive offer, limited for the new app. 200 people come in, use the app. We can monitor it, see if it works, and see if we want to even move on and do more work on it, right? Um, and then from there, once we figure out, what's working, we get some feedback from your customers of what they want. You might decide you want something done differently. Phase two comes. All those changes that you have, we then move okay, so it's viable, seems to be working, and then we go ahead and we will move on phase two. All the feedback you got, we add those. If you want to add something additional, those next features you want to add, and then you proceed, right? And then there's phase three, phase four. Maybe you want to add the design at that point, and we add a new design to it, make it look nicer. Um, because you verified it, you know it's working. You can see how much you're making or not making, and it's to check if it's a viable option for your business. The same thing goes if you're making an internal tool. You know, if you're an internal tool that needs scheduling, say for your field technicians, or maybe in your employees are going to use it for marketing. I mean, you don't have to, you know, get your customers to use it. You're going to make your employees use it, but you're still getting feedback from your employees. You're getting ideas from them, and then you build on it. That way, you're not like getting too much in there, and you didn't realize what you wanted until you had it in your hands and can test it. Either is it viable, is it going to make money? And I would say a lot of times with that kind of stuff, you got to make sure too when you do it, it's not lack of effort on your part to make it profitable. Like I mean, you can't just put it in the store, not tell anyone about it, and expect it to work from the get go. So make sure it's something you put enough effort in to let your customers even know you have it out there. Like I recommend just having a sign right there by your cash register. They can scan a QR code, go right to it, download it right then and there. Um, but yeah, you get the drift. So essentially, what can happen here is then we get a better idea what you need. You get feedback, and you continue, and you just build on it as the time goes on. So first 6 months, we get it built. First 6 months is just phase one. Is it viable? Is it something we want to continue with? And then if it's viable and you see it's working, you move on to the next step. Maybe the design, maybe a new feature, maybe whatever you like. But that's the idea behind an MVP. Generally, MVP will cost anywhere from 5,000 to upwards. I mean, you know, $30,000. But generally, it runs around $15,000 for an MVP, depending on what you need. Obviously, the more complicated it is, I know. Like, I gave an estimate for something they wanted super complicated, and they weren't going to settle with an MVP, and it was like $100,000, but you can just build up to it. Start with that 15K mark, and then we work our way up to it to see if it's even worth pursuing, right? But that's the idea of an MVP. Um, Keeps costs down, allows you to test it out to see if there's something that's worth pursuing. It's just like anything else you add to a store. Um, you got to give it a try and see if it works or if you're in your business, right? Focus on the features you want, only the features you want. If you want more sales, focus on the feature of sales. You want more customer retention, let's focus on that. No more features beyond that for the initial hit. Release to the customers in phases. If you're like a customer business, why? One, you can phrase it as something exclusive so you get more people in there. We get a base of how many users that will be using the product, and then we can monitor the server costs and see what we're going to have to spend on there. Generally, it's around $100. A lot of people aren't going to have thousands of users. It'd be a good thing if you did because that means you get more sales. But release it in phases. We get a number, right? It's because it's kind of hard to monitor everything. Like I added on my product myself, I just added in the email notifications. It comes with an additional cost, right? Because I have to add an email server, and that server has to run somewhere, and it's generally about $15 a month. I send out about for my app 8,000 emails a month, and that costs like right around $15 a month. So I mean, it's not horrible, right? It's not horrible, but if it's working and it's getting people back in your app, boom. I mean, $15, even a coffee shop, you're gonna sell 3 coffees, right? It's not too bad. But yeah, I think that's about what I wanted to cover. If you're thinking about having an app or maybe having an app built in the future, once again, subscribe to my channel, follow my Facebook page. Otherwise, my website will be in the description. The link to my website, sonartechnologies.com. And I think that's what I wanted to cover. And you all have a good day. Peace.